All right. We're gonna put that right there. Just getting this all set up. There you go. Okay. All right. Interesting. Hey, everybody hopping in on TikTok. Big Bundles, Fuse, John Clark. Let's go. All right, we're getting there. All right, that works pretty well, so a little bit faster. Hey, Weenus. Oh, awesome, congrats. That's awesome. Where are you gonna go for your honeymoon, if you don't mind me asking? All right, we'll do the next part in a second. Let's do this ending one more time. London, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Croatia. Wow, that sounds epic. That's awesome. Then back to Australia. Nice. That's very cool. Yeah, I just went to the Smoky Mountains, which is the mountain range in Tennessee. In the United States. It was pretty. We literally had no money though. Hello from Georgia. Hey, Nika. Thanks for joining. Sacartello. If you're taking requests, can you hear the music from Oppenheimer? Yeah, we could do a little bit of Oppenheimer, sure. How can I say no to the guy on his honeymoon? Yeah, that's the best way to see the US, I'm not gonna lie. Flying it doesn't feel quite right, for sure. Driving it is definitely the right way to see the United States. It's so big, it just gives you the right perspective. The right sense of time, you stop places.
Wait, where do you put them?
All right, we'll do a little bit of Oppenheimer, then we're gonna do some more classical. And then what do we got? There we go. There we go. Good old Oppenheimer. Yeah, I mean, not always, but I mean, it's where I've lived my entire life, and yeah, there's lots of good people. Just don't run on the side of the road where there's no sidewalk. I do that regularly, and everyone's a super grump when you do that. Hey, Chirag, how's it going? We're gonna back up a little bit here. Let's try that again. Ya, ya, ta, ta. That's what we gotta do. Hey, Laura. can't play Megalovania? Yeah, we can do Megalovania. We'll do that in a little bit. I want to get the ending of this down. Hey Elvis LaFool. Your Wi-Fi, I get it. You're in an airport. That's the thing with Wi-Fi. That's right. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da na na. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, let's get this down. Cool. Not bad. And then beautiful. All right, one more time through that, and then we'll do Megalovania, Laura. Hey, hey, Golden Arrow. Hey, Esco. All right. Let's answer this question by Chirag, and then we will get back into some fantasy impromptu. Similar to smooth chord progression, is there smooth scale progression as well? Trying to come up with music with my limited knowledge, but after a certain chord progression, I keep hitting a wall. For example, I'm playing, hey DevMart, nice of you to join. I'm playing triad, C, D minor, second inversion G, and D minor. So something like C major, okay, let me try to answer your question, Chirag, because I think I get where you're coming from. All right, so I think what you're saying when you say a smooth chord progression is basically sometimes when you play a chord progression, it just feels really, really good. And then other chord progressions, they're not quite as good. And then similar with like scales as well, right? You play notes in a certain order, they sound really nice. You play them in another order, you're like, it's like claws on chalkboard, nails on a chalkboard. So a lot of that comes from basically how we are interpreting the chords, which is half math and half cultural. And what I mean by that is there is a mathematical thing going on with music that's undeniable. There is absolute structures in music making. Not everything is relative. And the reason why that is because there are ratios. So the simplest one is an octave, right? Basically, you have a guitar string, you cut the guitar string in half, you get an octave higher. That's how you get an octave. Then you go and you do the 7th fret and you get a 5th. That's basically cutting it into, I think, thirds. I can't quite remember, but you get the general idea. And then you also get the 4th if you go the other way, right? Only 5 frets. This continues and gets more and more complex the more and more you get into dissonant intervals. So our feeling of music is generally one of tension, ratios, fraction, like ratio arrangements of the notes being tighter together, more complicated, and then resolving to things that are more pleasant because they're less complicated. That's a very hand-wavy, not incredibly in-depth way to explain the math behind it, but that's basically how it works. So to kind of put that into practice, if I'm in C major and I play a nice C major chord, especially one nicely voiced like this, C, G, E, it sounds beautiful and I'm like, that feels so nice because the ratios are quite simple. But then if instead I played C, G, C sharp, oof, right? It hurts. It's painful. That's because that is a much more complicated ratio. And so it is like our brains basically have to think more to understand all those different wavelengths hitting against each other. There's a lot of other complexity that goes into it if you really think about it, because each of these notes is a fundamental and then they have overtones. And so in some ways, I think our brain is almost deciding whether or not this is a complicated instrumental sound or more than one note. But that's for another day. Don't worry about that too much. All right. So what we think of as being smooth is when the math makes a lot of sense, plus our cultural context. Now, again, I said at the beginning, there's math and there's cultural context. If you look at almost every culture, they embrace the math of it all. And I say almost just to give myself some coverage, but in reality, basically everybody agrees we like hearing stuff go from something a little more complicated, right, to something a little simpler, feeling good. That's resolution, right? Dissonance to resolution. E major add 9 to C major 7 over E is nice. Or, yeah, it is. I agree. All right, so let's get back to chords for a second. The most basic sort of milquetoast chord progressions are going to be ones that follow the circle of fifths. Why? because that is what makes the most sense mathematically. So for example, D minor to G to C. Hey Ramses, D minor, G, C. Right? That's going to be the most logical, rational, and milquetoast way of doing it. You can also do F to G to C. Now, in music theory terms, we put these into boxes. We go, there's a predominant, a dominant, and a tonic. I don't even really want to get into that. I just want to get into this idea of things being more comfortable or less comfortable. And in general, in the key of C major, C and A minor are like the ones that are the most comfortable. And then all the rest, there's a little less comfort to them. So what you can do if you want a smooth chord progression is move from a state of comfort to a state of discomfort back to a state of comfort. So for example, you could start on 6 and then move to 5 and then move to 4 and then move to 1. Now, you don't have to follow these rules, but the rules are going to give you more success to immediately getting things sounding correct. Now, why did I put quotations around correct? Some of this stuff is starting to blend with my cultural bias, which is coming from the United States and Western European music. Some of this stuff, the rules of the road, if you will, were written mostly by Western Europeans about this stuff. And that means that the math and then what is culturally accepted start to become one and the same. And if you come from a different country and a different background, you'll start to realize where those rules make sense and where they don't, because again of your cultural context. Again, I would say the major scale, very European, right? We love ourselves some major scale, but a lot of 8-note scales, a lot of 5-note scales, a lot of 6-note scales are much more popular other places in the world. And so some of that stuff you kind of have to understand what effectively like what material you're dealing with, if you will. You know, it's almost like fashion. It's like, you know, if you're doing like high fashion and you're doing all of that, it's got this very European, you know, leaning towards it, because that's kind of where it originated from. But if you're doing, for example, you know, Southern American fashion, that would have a certain flavor to it, or urban, you know, fashion, or German fashion, or Indian fashion, then it would have a certain flavor to it. That's basically what you're dealing with this. Now, let's get back to and come up with a couple more examples. Let's say instead we do yours. So C major, D minor, G, D minor, and then C. One thing we could do immediately to make it feel more smooth is instead of going back to D minor, we go to C. Now, because you decided to do second inversion G, which by the way is not normally what you do, but I don't even want to get into that right now. Let's talk through, you're on C major, D minor, G over D. Now we're going to go to C over E. Now F, C over E, D minor, G. Oh, sorry. Now, the other part of chord progressions that really help with understanding it is the notes at the bottom are a melody as well. That is just a fundamental truth of how chord progressions work. The notes at the bottom are a melody as well. Let me say that one more time. The notes at the bottom are a melody as well. What does that really mean? It means that you have to treat them melodically. Ya, dee, da, 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 dum. That makes a lot more sense than da, 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 dum. Not the most interesting melody. They don't quite behave exactly melodically. Like you can break some rules, like you wouldn't necessarily be doing a lot of fourths and fifths, but that's what you would do. We may get into doing some melody later, but that gives you an idea. Mess around with it, have some fun with it. Chia, ka ilhamku. Blue sky? Sure. You've been very curious. We can do that. No, you're fine. All the things you are? Yeah, we can do all the things you are, Cameron. Glad you like it, Chia. Mr. Blue Sky. I cannot remember, honestly, the end of Mr. Blue Sky. Someone you loved? We could do someone you loved. I feel like that one's having a resurgence. I've heard it asked a few times. I might have to listen to the Mr. Blue Sky to remember how that ending goes. We'll do all the things you are, and then we'll try the Mr. Blue Sky, and then we'll do. Freak on a Leash? I like that idea. We'll do Freak on a Leash, Spidey. Hopefully you stick around. Hey, Pavel. right, we're gonna look up Freak on a Leash. I want to listen to the end of Mr. Blue Sky. Boo doo doo boo doo. Let's see, I gotta mute that because that is coming through. Feeling like a... Okay, sure. There you go. Instant transcription. How you feeling about that? Feeling like a freak on a leash. Blow, doo, doo. Daniel, it's E flat major, then it's E flat major, then it's D flat 7 sharp 11, and then it builds up and then goes back to E flat major. I really want to make a right after Dring Wing in my car right after, yeah. Laura, I don't know what that is, but you probably don't want to write that. Maybe I need to just do a whole album, fully commit all the metal greats, because I would love to do that. Play Dead Married, we could look into it. I'm a beginner on piano. What can I learn? Thank you. Laura, if you're a beginner on piano and you want to learn something, the first thing is I'll give you the necessary answer, which is you really should be trying to learn something that appeals to you, and then also be learning potentially something that would give you a little more range. What do I mean by that? Like maybe you like the song, Megalovania, which you mentioned before. You could learn that as a beginner on piano. Right, here I am. Ouroboros, I need to release a video. I made the video. I published it incorrectly. I need to release it. It will be out today. It answers that exact same thing. Oh, you can play Megalovania? That's awesome, Laura. So pick more songs like that you like, that motivate you, but also try to increase your skills. What do I mean by increasing your skills? I mean start adding in something that you don't necessarily know that's going to help you with all songs. My personal favorite is scales. Scales, scales, scales. Do your scales. It's going to help out a ton. You don't have to do scales though. You could work on chords. You could work on reading music. You could work on learning by ear. But if you keep doing kind of this one for you, one for me approach, you're going to be able to get a lot better. I quit and switched to guitar because of that problem, but I'm just trying to get better at music as a whole. Totally fine. No worries. I'll give you some insight right now to Ouroboros. It's a huge, I would say the two hands together is like the third time that people quit on piano. The first time people quit on piano is probably when they are trying to, let's see, did I say the third time? Maybe it's only the second time. Because it would be, a lot of times it's people learn with their eyes, right? They're learning to read, and then they try to learn to read, and their teacher didn't give them a good job of telling where the piano is and like what notes are on the piano. So then they go to learn to read, and then they're super confused. That happens a lot. Then you have the second time, yes, is the hands together. Let's talk about the hands together. Here's the first thing that I would say about hands together. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to understand the rhythm and how the timing goes for the hands apart. And probably the best way is you're going to need to count out loud. That's a really good thing. Actually, it's something I didn't necessarily mention in my video is counting out loud. But you can do metronome, you can do others. But you need to really actually understand the rhythm of the parts separately before you put them together. The second thing that I would say is understanding how those parts actually sound, both separate and then together. This is one that people really mess up. A lot of times people shortchange the left hand because they're like, the left hand part's easy. But what they don't realize is because they thought it was easy, they never actually really learned it. And so if you slow down and you really think about that left hand and really getting those notes going, you're going to have a better time on that. And then finally, it's the putting them together. Now, how do you put them together and have that feel good? Look at the music that you're playing from, if you're playing from music. If you're not playing from music, we can talk about that too. But if you're playing from music, look at the music. It shows you visually how the hands go together, unless it's a piece of garbage written music, which does happen sometimes. If they're vertically together, they're played at the same time. If you just see notes in the left hand by itself, it's left hand by itself. If you see notes in the right hand by itself, it's right hand by itself. Why am I saying it that way? It's because that gives you this framework where you can now have either together, left or right. And then what you do is you play it out of time, just making sure that the notes are either together, left or right. I will say another thing that can get very frustrating is you can realize that, you can't read music. Honestly, that actually may be part of your problem because I think reading music is one of the best ways to get your hands together because then you're going to be able to feel that a little bit more. Let me give you a little exercise though for the non-music readers out there. What you're going to do, and maybe I'll make just a simple video of this. You're going to learn how to play Hey Jude. In the wrong key, because I'm pretty sure it's more in F, right? But whatever, we're gonna do it in C, just to make it easy. So what you're gonna do is what? Yeah, it's totally in F, but whatever, doesn't matter. If you know the chords, you can do it in F. But we're gonna do it in C just to make it super duper easy. Sorry, I'm distracted because Comcast is harassing me. Even though I've told them many, many times, leave me alone. But hey, that's what it is. Okay, so we're in the key of C. What you're gonna do, you're gonna play your chord together. Left hand's just single notes. Just stay on C for a second. Single note together. And then right, left together. 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 Right? And then you're going to do that twice and then move on to the next chord. If you can get a pattern like this going, you can play anything hands together. Let's go to the right key so I can sing it so you get the idea. But this is totally the pattern. It works really well. Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. Then you can start to make it better. The whole pattern. Together, right, left, together, right, left, together. Beautiful, beautiful pattern. Now, let's say you're more in the improv, like having some fun. You don't want to be playing a song, you want to make stuff up. There's a trick there too. And that is, you can just take an octave and you can just pace between the octave. Lower, higher, lower, higher. Get it as half notes. Ya, bum, bum. And then the right hand, whatever you want, but for now, maybe just quarter notes in the key that you're in. And then when you start feeling more confident, maybe eighth notes. And then when you start feeling really confident, any rhythm you fancy. Yeah, all good, Daniel Hahn. Come back another time. to lose and to pretend she's overboard and self-assured. A dirty word. Oh, how low, 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 how low. With the lights out. Am I about to end the stream? We'll see. A lot of times I keep it to about an hour because I just don't have a ton of time between kids and business and all of that. But we'll see. I'm vibing right now. I'm feeling this this version of Smells Like Teen Spirit. When the lights out, when the lights out. I'm trying to figure out what the chorus would be if this is the. With the lights out. This is dangerous. Here we are now. Entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now. Entertain us. So it'd be like, when the lights out, this is dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Misty or Blue Bossa, we could do both of those. I just want to get a vibe. How to put the right bass on a melody. When the lights Ooh, what if we just completely changed the rhythm around? So first of all, let me look at the lyrics. With the lights out, this is dangerous. It's less dangerous. Here we are now. With the lights out. With the lights out. It's less dangerous. Here we are now. Entertain us. I feel stupid. And no, don't. Nah, the rhythm can't change back. So I think what you do is with the lights out. It's less dangerous. Nah, that's way too epic. It's less dangerous. Nope, it's less dangerous. Nah, is less dangerous. That's, no. B flat minor is right. Here we are now. Entertain us. That sounds too cheap now, too. It's interesting how much when you change one thing, it affects all the other things. How to get perfect pitch? I don't know, you tell me. No, I'm just kidding. Here's the deal about perfect pitch. I don't really even have perfect pitch. I have close to perfect pitch just from years and 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 years of relative pitch. You just hear the same notes over and over and over again, and they start to kind of get drilled into your head. I would say if you're asking that question, if you are old enough to obey the terms of service on YouTube to be in chat, the ship has probably sailed in terms of getting absolute perfect pitch, unless you just have amazing genetics. And here's the reason why. As best people can tell, it's a combination of genetics and training. And the reason why it's both is there are some people, like my father-in-law is one, where he learned stuff because he already had perfect pitch. And then they found out later on, they're like, oh yeah, you have perfect pitch. And so he just had it, didn't really need to learn it. But then there's other cases where people sit with small kids and they start and they're not able to identify very much stuff, but they constantly expose them to a lot of random noise and chords and challenges, and they constantly try to refresh and basically be like, hey, can you identify this note? Can you identify all these notes? So on and so forth. Now, my real honest answer to you specifically, Blue, at 17, is you don't need to give a rip about perfect pitch. If you have perfect pitch, it's amazing, it's lovely. But honestly, I would say instead of thinking about perfect pitch, try to get as much idea of relative pitch that you can. Now, why do you want relative pitch instead of perfect pitch? Perfect pitch is super cool, right? You're just like A, G flat, B flat, D flat, F, and it's just right there, right? But relative pitch is kind of this amazing ability to effectively be able to move to whatever area. So like, let's imagine that somebody started Smells Like Teen Spirit here. I'm not gonna be that bothered. I'm gonna be a little bothered because I've heard it so many times that it actually does still sound wrong. But for the most part, it's a relationship of the chords. It's not the specific notes themselves. That's really what relative pitch is versus perfect pitch. You know, Smells Like Teen Spirit starts on F, but even if it starts on F sharp or D, it doesn't matter to me because it's all that relative relationship. How do you do that? There's really two general ways that you really work on your relative pitch. Way number one is by coming up with a mnemonic, a memorization device for each interval. So the common one is like, you go C to D flat, that's for Elise, or it's Jaws, right? Or, but it's always weird to do that. Can't stop. Can't stop addicted to the shindig. Nice. All right, let's finish talking about relative pitch. That was for Tommy there. So then you could go to C to D. Happy birthday to you. C to E flat. Da da D. Go to sleep, my little baby. C to E. Oh, in the saints. Or C to F. Ba da 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 da. Right? C to F sharp, The Simpsons. each of these songs you can kind of hear in your head, and then when you hear that little interval change, you go, ah, it's that one. So for example, Can't Stop. Ba-da-ba-dum, that's a song from West Side Story. There's a place for us. That's the minor seventh. Hey, D2V, how's it going? Yes, giving each, not note, each interval. You're not trying to memorize each note. That would be what perfect pitch is. You're trying to memorize each distance between the notes. There's a website called musictheory.net that you can use to practice this. And actually, hold on. I should be giving out my Discord for whoever is interested in. Why is that way? That's a little bit of a pain. And I don't have any of my bros in there to give me the link. That's sad. Oh well. I'll try to find a link and post it at some point. If you are the best, do Bohemian Rhapsody. It's your favorite song. Hey, Kingdom of Light. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so you have these intervals. Practice these intervals. The interval is the distance between. If you can recognize them, you can recognize any song. Now here is the second step. Once you get those down, you become the most obnoxious human being possible. Yeah, Chirag, if you can drop it, that would be great, because I think it's in streaming mode. I think that's the problem. I think it freaks out and goes, oh, you're probably going to accidentally share something you don't want to share, because Discord's all set up like that. And so it's like freaking out on me. Okay, so this is how you become awesome at relative pitch. You have this interval in your head, right? You hear da 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 da, and then you hear the song, please, 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 ba da ba da ba. You know, your girlfriend's listening to Sabrina Carpenter, and you're like, why are we even dating? And then you go, da da da. What is that? Three Blind Mice. Okay, what's Three Blind Mice? Ba da 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 da. Oh, it's okay. It's a major second, so it's stepwise down. Ya da 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 da. It's another step. Okay, so if I was on E, it'd be E D C. And then what's the next one? Da 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 da. Okay, what is that? So I'm starting on C, C, and then I drop down. Da dum. Da dum da da bum ba da, or da 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 da. Ooh, a perfect fourth, just like Harry Potter. Okay, all right, so that's C down to G, and then we got please, 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 yeah, and then another step up, and then now a minor third, ya da 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 da. Okay, that was probably way more than you were hoping for. But that's how you do it. Hold on, we'll get it sorted out. I got it. I got it. You got 20. That's sweet. It's because Chirag, it's the overcautiousness. Release those suckers. Finish them out. That's great, Blue. That one I think I may make an in-depth video of. Join the Discord if you can. Pretty much all you guys should join the Discord, because we can keep talking about this stuff. got a couple questions I want to answer. Just mess around there. Ooh, and then I'll go back. We'll do a little bit of Misty. A little Misty. Slow it down a little bit. Intervals doesn't make sense when you refer them to other notes that is not the root. Arcade piano. I don't quite necessarily follow with what you're trying to say, but here's the deal. Okay, let me try to make sense about this. So all an interval is a distance. It's a measured distance. So in one sense, you're correct, in the sense that, like, let's say I had a ruler here. If we started from anywhere besides 0, it gets a lot more confusing potentially, right? Because let's say I'm measuring and I put my 0 here and then I measure to here and it says 6 inches. Then I'm like, okay, wonderful, good. But then let's say I just start randomly here and then I measure over here and I'm starting on the 3, but then I'm going to the 5. But we can still do basic math and go, oh, it's still actually just 2 inches, right? So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where we're starting or where we're going as long as we're taking a measured distance. And the cool thing about the piano is, by definition, it's all divided up into half steps. There's no smaller distance than a half step on the piano. It's all half steps. So all you have to do to make sure that you're measuring the intervals correctly is just count every half step. So for example, if I'm starting on D and I end up on F, I just have to count up. Now I don't count the note that I'm on, because why would I count the note that I'm on? You don't count if you're going from, again, 3 to 5. Well, that's maybe not the best. It's not a great analogy. Let's just stick on the piano for a second. I don't count this note because I'm on this note. I'm counting the distance, right? Measure distance. So then 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So that'd be 3 half steps. What is 3 half steps? Type that into ChatGPT, into Google. It will tell you. It's a minor third. You're the inventor of the law of harmony. Wonderful. That's beautiful. 1995. Love it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's do some... oh, I want to answer Blue's question. Do you think trying to train perfect is impossible? That is a good question that I'm going to say I don't think has a really great answer. I think if you wanted to ask me in the abstract, I would say yes for grown people. But if you wanted me to actually create a more nuanced point of view, which is my general preferred mode of operation, I would say think of it a lot more like training to be in the NBA. Like, having perfect pitch is a very, very, very small percentage trait. It's incredibly small. And if you think about how important music is to people and how much time people spend learning music, including myself, you would imagine that it would be a much higher number if it was something you could train. So I'd say it's much more like jump heights, like being able to dunk, like rim dunk in the NBA. Like, there's a certain level of genetics and then training that will get you there. And some people had a ton of genetics and could just do it right away. And then other people had very little genetics and could just do it after years and years and years of physical discipline and practice. That's where I'd kind of put training for perfect pitch. What I would say though is, and this is where the NBA analogy maybe does work, is it's kind of like, hey, but you can't just shoot a three-pointer. And like, relative pitch is really good enough. It really is. And you can learn basically everything there. So that's what I would kind of say. So at 17, is it a waste of time to work on perfect pitch? Probably not. But is it just as good a time, if not maybe a better use of your time, to learn relative pitch and also even help you to get perfect pitch? Yes, it's going to help you. Also, it just feels a lot more like something that you're going to make forward progress on and less random. Like, if you sit there learning perfect pitch and you just sit there and you just drone on like A, and then you walk away and you're like A, and then you play the note and you're like, oh crap, I played the wrong note. I sang the wrong note. It can get really frustrating, whereas all the relative pitch stuff is actually very calculated. Like, it's not guessing. And some of the perfect pitch stuff feels a lot more like guessing, even though I'm sure perfect pitch people would probably argue with me there. No, you're fine, Blue. Air blue, all blue, no comments. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Blue. Good playing, Ashley, Chanel. Thank you. How do I get smoother with my fingers? You make it look so easy. There's no way I'll get that fast. You'd be surprised. I think you could totally get that fast. Here's the deal with playing faster. Blue Bossa. Yep, all good. Thanks, Chirag. Again, we're trying to commit to that daily stream so that we can really get it. Or Girl from Ipanema. Yeah, we'll play something. Most compositions have neighboring fingers due to spatial limitations because you can only reach 1/3 of the board, but nearby notes might not be the best composition compared to drawing on computer. Not quite sure exactly what you're going about, Arcade Piano, but whatever. If you're enjoying this, go ahead and follow. It really does help. We're trying to build this thing up. I had this honeymoon period earlier in the year where I could just stream and get a bajillion watches. Not a bajillion, but like 20 or 30 people watching every time. And then YouTube has been a lot harsher recently, but we're just gonna do it the good old-fashioned way. We're just gonna force YouTube to pay attention by just doing it regularly. I am definitely gonna make a note to make your ear training video. I do wanna make that ear training video. I've been debating about making a video about how you actually make money as a musician, but I need to figure out a best way of putting it out there that it would actually make sense. But anyway, I want to talk about playing fast, and maybe I'll make a video on that too. Ear training video, 2 steps, learning interval songs, then learning being the annoying guy. All right, that's great. I'm just writing down some notes. The second one is, how to get smooth and fast. All right, let's talk about getting smooth and fast for a second. Here's the deal about playing smooth and fast. And honestly, I'm not really the best at this because it's funny. I now actually can play pretty fast, but for most of my life, I really couldn't. There were a lot of musicians that were a lot faster than me at the piano. It's what I really struggled with. I kind of really pushed on the music understanding, like the harmony understanding, because of my feeling of inadequacy on my technique. But this is the goated way to get fast. And what it is slow, controlled scales. Yes, I know. Such a sexy answer. That is exactly what you were hoping for, wasn't it? Slow, controlled scales. There's a few different ways to do this, but to me, this is my favorite. And for anybody who's watched the channel for a while, can do this. If you're a beginner, start the sucker real slow, like 80 BPM. Get that metronome cooking. Oh, who doesn't love a good metronome, right? And then quarter notes. Do you hear how even they are? How relaxed they are? That's what you're going for. You don't want any of this stuff. No. Nice and even. And now, eighths. Again, stay super even. Breathe. Make sure you got your breathing going, right? Nice breathing in and out. And then triplets. And then sixteenths. Right? There we go. Now, when you get good at that, you can really put the metronome quite a bit faster and still be able to do it. Let's pick a different key, A flat major. This is how you get smooth and fast. Now, there's some intricacies with how your hands actually are moving, but staying relaxed and basically doing it with no effort is the main part of it. Doesn't it make you kind of just want to dance? Triplets? There we go. And then what you're going to notice is consistency with that. There's a great video, and it's of Richter. No, is that the Sviatoslav Richter documentary? There's two documentaries that I really like. There's one of Richter, and then there's one of Hélène Grémont. I think it's the Richter one. And he talks about he was having a crisis of technique. And this dude is like literally one of the best pianists who's ever lived. And yeah, it takes about 30 minutes to play through all 12 scales that way. If you did that every single day, and this is going to sound really painful, in 2 years, you literally will have technique to play anything you want. Again, in modern times, I'm sure that sounds untenable and insane. But in the grand scheme of everything, you're talking at 19, you should be able to play the pants off of pretty much anybody. And then if you run into technical issues, join the Discord. I can talk you through technical issues. Although an in-person teacher may be able to help you out a little bit more with that, but that would be the deal there, for sure. All right, I probably should do one more thing and then get rolling, because I need to make some videos and still hang out with my kids. My piano has action 2 millimeters. Normal pianos have 10 millimeters. It is not the human, it is the machine. Oh, to play faster? I highly disagree. It's easier to play faster with certain size pianos, yeah, with different action, but I have seen some non-optimal pianos being played extremely fast. So. We'll do a little bit, girl, and then I'll play an original, and then we'll get out here. Good for you. What's up? In a second. When will I stream next? That's a good question. I need to set up like more of a schedule now. I'm trying to do it every day. I would say most likely it's probably going to be a similar time as to today. Yes, I think that's the case. Unless my 1-year-old is awake, and then it may be a different time. But if he naps, it'll be around this time, or it will be earlier. I'm sorry that I'm not very consistent with it. All right, well, thank you for joining. At Win, so like maybe like 4:30 Central Standard Time, if you will. But again, it may be a little earlier. You came to the stream way too late. It's all good, Blue. It is all good. I will try to do a shout out on Discord too. I'll try to shout out like 30 minutes or an hour before the stream starts. I've been really all over the place. Hey, Colin. Yes, I know you. Hey, Colin. I'm actually going to kill the stream now because my kids are calling me up for dinner. But join next time because we're going to probably literally stream tomorrow. So I'll see you guys all later. I'm going to turn off the Tiki-Talks over here and then come over here. Peace out, everybody.